General William C. Westmoreland. James R. Westmoreland, textile manufacturer, education, attended the Citadel, briefly entered United States Military Academy at West Point, graduated 1936, top of his class in leadership, attended the Command and General Staff College and the Army War College. Personal life, marriage, and family. Spouse: married Catherine Kitsey Van Dayesen in 1947. Kitsey was the daughter of a U.S. Army colonel and deeply involved in military family life, known for her grace, hospitality, and support of military families' children. The couple had 3 children, 2 sons and 1 daughter. His family maintained a low public profile, with 1 son serving in the U.S. military. Home life and personality: settled in Charleston, South Carolina, after retirement, known for his discipline, conservative values, and patriotism. Made deeply religious man, Episcopalian by faith, passionate about American history, golf, and mentoring young officers. Maintained ties with West Point veterans groups and alumni associations. Later years and health: remained publicly active through the 1980s and 1990s. In later years, developed Alzheimer's disease, which led to declining health. Continued attending military events with his wife's help into his late 80s. Kitsey Westmoreland was by his side until his death in 2005. Death and burial: died July 18, 2005. Charleston, SC, aged 91. Burial: West Point Cemetery, United States Military Academy. Highly respected final resting place for military leaders. His funeral was attended by numerous military officials and veterans. Legacy: in personal terms, remembered by those close to him as a loyal husband and father, a man of integrity and devotion to duty, strong supporter of military families and veteran causes. Military career overview: 1936. 1972. Early career: 1936 to 1941. Commissioned upon graduation from West Sec in 1936 as a 2nd lieutenant in the Field Artillery. Served in Hawaii with the 8th Field Artillery. Early recognition for his leadership and organizational skills. World War II service: 1941 to 1945. Assigned to the 9th Infantry Division. Served in North Africa, Sicily, and Western Europe. Promoted to colonel during wartime. Distinguished himself in Tunisian campaign. Sicilian invasion, 1943. Battle of the Bulge. Decorations: Silver Star, Bronze Star, Legion of Merit. Post-war roles and Korean War era, 1946 to 1953. Instructor at the Army Command and General Staff College. Attended the Army War College, 1949. Commander, 504th Parachute Infantry Regiment, 82nd Airborne Division. Staff officer during the Korean War, but did not command in combat there. Known for sharp planning, logistics, and organizational capacity. Airborne Command and rising rank, 1953 to 1963. Promoted to Major General, 1955 to 1958. Commanding General of the 101st Airborne Division, 1958 to 1960. Superintendent of the United States Military Academy at West Point. Focused on academic reform and leadership. 1960 to 1963. Commanded the 18 Airborne Corps. Developed strategic readiness and oversaw rapid deployment planning. Vietnam War leadership, 1964 to 1968. Commander, U.S. Military Assistance Command. Vietnam MACV tenure, June 1964. July 1968. Oversaw expansion of U.S. forces from 16,000 to over 500,000. Adopted a war of attrition strategy, using enemy body count as a metric of success. Key battles: operations. Battle of Ia Drung, 1965. Operation Rolling Thunder. Air Campaign Tet Offensive, 1968. A turning point in U.S. public support for the war. Criticized for underestimating Viet Cong resilience and overstating progress. Chief of Staff of the U.S. Army, 1968 to 1972. Appointed by President Lyndon B. Johnson after Vietnam service. Focused on modernization of the Army, beginning the shift to an all-volunteer force, managing morale and public perception after Vietnam setbacks, handling internal Army reform and budget control during post-war drawdown, continued public and congressional engagement until retirement. Post-military career: retirement from active duty 1972. Officially retired from the U.S. Army in June 1972 after a distinguished 36-year career. Maintained the honorary rank of General 4-star upon retirement. Retired with multiple military honors and a high public profile. Though his legacy was controversial due to his role in the Vietnam War, political ambitions: 1974 ran for Governor of South Carolina as a Republican. Focused on conservative values, military discipline, and law and order. Lost the race to Democrat James B. Edwards in the Republican primary runoff. This ended his pursuit of elected office. Author and memoir, 1976, published his autobiography. A Soldier reports a detailed account of his military service, including his defensive strategy in Vietnam. The book addressed criticism and provided insight into his command decisions. Lectures and public speaking: frequently spoke at veterans events, universities, military academies, and patriotic rallies. Defended U.S. involvement in Vietnam. And his decisions as commander became a symbol of military patriotism for many Cold War conservatives. CBS lawsuit 198-2198-51982, filed. A $120 million libel lawsuit against CBS over a documentary titled The Uncounted Enemy of Vietnam Deception. The program alleged Westmoreland manipulated intelligence to mislead policymakers during the Vietnam War. The trial garnered national attention. 1985. The case was settled out of court without monetary damages. CBS acknowledged Westmoreland's patriotism and long and faithful service. Veterans advocates remained actively involved in veterans organizations, such as the American Legion and VFW. Veterans of foreign wars participated in commemorative events honoring Vietnam veterans and military service. Later honors and legacy projects honored by numerous military associations for lifelong service, contributed to historical archives and oral history projects, advocated for preserving military tradition and discipline. Final years and death: lived a relatively quiet life in Charleston, South Carolina with his wife. Suffered from Alzheimer's disease in later years. Died July 18, 2005, at age 91. Buried West Point Cemetery. United States Military Academy death date of death: died July 18, 2005, age 91, place Charleston, South Carolina, USA. Cause of death: General Westmoreland passed away due to complications related to Alzheimer's disease, which he had been battling. In his final years, he had been in declining health, but remained mentally active for much of his retirement until the progression of the illness. Funeral and burial: funeral held with full military honors, attended by high-ranking military officers, veterans, family, public officials. Burial site: United States Military Academy Cemetery, West Point, New York. A prestigious resting place reserved for distinguished graduates and military leaders. Symbolic. Returned to where his military journey began in 1932 as a cadet. Memorials and tributes were paid by the U.S. Army, which honored his decades of service. Presidents and military leaders, who recognized both his leadership and dedication. Veterans groups, many of which acknowledged his lifelong advocacy for soldiers. While controversial in his Vietnam War leadership, he was respected for his discipline, service, and loyalty to the nation. Legacy after death: his death rekindled historical debates about his command in Vietnam, especially surrounding the Tet Offensive 1968 body count strategy. Civil military relations during wartime. Despite criticism, Westmoreland is remembered as a symbol of Cold War-era leadership, and his contributions are studied in military academies to this day. Legacy: Vietnam. War Commander. A defining legacy. General Westmoreland is best known for his leadership during Midi-City. During the Vietnam War, 1964 to 1968, as commander of the U.S. Military Assistance Command, Vietnam, MACV, he became the face of U.S. military strategy during the war's most intense years, advocated for a war of attrition strategy, relying on body counts to measure success. This approach drew both military support and public criticism, especially after the Tet Offensive 1968, which revealed that U.S. victory was not as close as had been reported. His optimistic reports clashed with the worsening battlefield reality, leading to a credibility gap between the military and the American public. The 1982 CBS documentary, The Uncounted Enemy, accused him of manipulating enemy troop numbers. Though Westmoreland sued for libel, the case was settled without damages. Scholars and historians remain divided. Some see him as a loyal officer carrying out flawed political directives. Others blame him for mismanaging a winnable war. Chief of Staff and military reformer. U.S. Army Chief of Staff, 1968 to 1972. Westmoreland played a key role in beginning the transition to an all-volunteer Army revamping training. Morale and modernization. Post-Vietnamist leadership helped guide the Army through a period of reform, introspection, and reorganization after the trauma of Vietnam. Author and educator, in his 1976 memoir, A Soldier reports, he defended his wartime leadership and explained his strategic decisions.